Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Edulinks podcasts. Today, we're joined by a very special guest, Mr. Anil Baveja, the ex-manager of Honda Motors. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
How are you
Pleasure's
doing?
mine.
How are you doing?
Very well. Thank
Very
you
well?
so much. How are
No,
you?
I'm great. I'm great. Excited to have you on. So we'll just get straight into it. Um, so as I said, you were the ex-general manager of Honda Motors. So initially, what drew you into the automotive industry, and how did your journey with Honda begin?
Okay. So I would blame my father for that. So we had a Bajaj super scooter. You would know about it. The reliability of that scooter was not too great. In the morning, we had to do a procedure to start the vehicle. In fact, that's true for most of vehicles at that point of time, and that is what drew me into automobiles.
Yeah,
Um, how to ensure that every morning it starts and it keeps running the entire day. And it's been my passion, automobiles. So even in my engineering and wherever, I always wanted to be in automobiles, and I've spent my entire career in automobiles doing exactly what I like.
yeah,
So that's why I have been into automobiles.
that's amazing. I think it's so important that you do something that you're passionate about and you like, because you only live once, and it's important to enjoy what you are doing. Um, so you've obviously had a very lengthy career. Could you tell me a little bit about some pivotal moments in your career that you shaped it into a leadership role?
Okay, leadership came to me quite early in life. So, barely 4 years out of college, I was pushed into the leadership role, handling teams. And it was the biggest transformation for me because from a doer function, you get into straight into a role where you're handling teams.
Hmm.
And as a doer, you are so used to doing things by your own hand, and you admire your own efficiency so much that even as a leader, initially, I was terrible with delegating, and I would rather think that doing myself would make things more efficient, which was a fallacy for on my part, and hopefully I was able to overcome that. uh, Otherwise, there are thousands of moments which could be the eureka moments,
Mhm.
but these are all moments which are shared with your team. These are not individual. uh, there are no holy grails, right? These are all 99 failures which leads to one success. So it's all been, you know lot of initiatives, uh, and working with your teams, uh, trusting them, motivating them, that you develop your own career as you develop their career.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and moving on to more something more specific of about the industry, how do you think the automotive landscape in India specifically has evolved in the last decade?
So the last decade has seen a lot of disruptions. I'm sure these disruptions have been in all kinds of industry, but so it has also been in so the fuel. Let's start with the fuel mix. So, uh, diesel used to be a preferred fuel for most people, but then the pricing of diesel vehicles or powertrains, the pricing of diesel ensured that diesel ran out of favor amongst the customers. Similarly, the powertrains used to be petrol and diesel, but then uh, things started moving towards a different direction, initially with LPG gas, but now with CNG. And today, CNG is contributing to a major portion of the car sales in India. The EV disruption is now on the way. We're still at the early stage. We're just 3 years into the EV boom, and initially the results were quite encouraging. Things have stabilized as of now, but I'm sure there will be a point of inflection in a year or 2 years time. Nobody knows when, there'll be a major shift towards EV
Mhm.
in the coming period.
Yeah. S-
Similarly, if you look at powertrain, from another disruption has been from manual transmission to an automatic transmission to a CVT transmission. So these are transformations which are now happening in the last decade. And incidentally, India is the third largest automobile market. So followed by China, US, and then number three is India. It's overtaken Japan, it's overtaken Germany, it's overtaken all other countries. So it's the third largest, or automobile market.
Wow, massive. And so I know you touched just briefly on EVs. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. So some people say that it's kind of widely considered that EVs are going to be good for pollution and just sustainability. But for traditional automakers, what do you think the biggest challenge will be for them?
So, so it is true that from a carbon footprint perspective, EVs are the future. In the interim period, we have hybrids also, which are somewhere in between a traditional powertrain and the EV powertrain. The challenges for traditional car makers are too many, in the sense that if you look at the two-wheeler EV market, there are some 28, 30 manufacturers selling two-wheeler EVs in India. Four or five of them are the traditional makers like TVS and Honda and Hero and Bajaj and others. The remaining are all, startups.
Mm.
And these are people who've done a lot of research on their own and come into the two-wheeler. Here, the entry barrier is not as big as, let's say, for automobiles. For automobiles, the amount of money required to enter into this industry is somewhat more. But then the traditional manufacturers of cars are having a far tougher challenge, because the newer generation people who are coming into EV automobiles are coming out with zero based uh, down up designs, which are finding favor. So even if you look at in the West, so let's say Tesla is not a traditional car maker. Uh, then similarly in China, it is not the traditional car makers which are doing. So BYD is not the traditional car
Mm.
maker. BYD is a straight away electric car
Yeah,
maker. So the traditional car makers will have a tough time.
tough time.
Of course, all of them are ready with the products,
Mm.
but the mindset of the traditional car maker, and that the requirement with EVs that is there today, it's something like a mobile set now.
Mm.
So your software needs to be upgraded every few months or so. So it's a very changing and environment.
Yeah, and obviously for the traditional car makers, their customer base will be very hesitant to kind of evolve onto the EVs. Meaning, as you said, there's so many new companies coming in, but the traditional people who have been, buying a Honda car their whole lives, stuff like that, they'll be quite hesitant to switch over to EVs.
I don't think so that is the case.
Yeah.
So Indian customers are value conscious customer. They don't like cheap cars. They like cars which is value for money. And battery costs are coming down. Charging infrastructure is still at a nascent stage, but I'm sure once the population of EVs reaches a particular critical level, that infrastructure can come in, because it's not very expensive to put up that infrastructure. Our petrol stations can also provide charging stations. Anyway, you can charge at home in case you have a reasonably bigger size house or plot. Societies today have the charging stations. So I say my sense is that this change, people who are buying petrol vehicles today or diesel vehicles today, tomorrow they will quickly shift
Mm.
to EVs. There should not be any hesitation or uh, veils on them that they cannot shift.
Hmm. And
It's a value proposition.
yeah, do you think India should be doing more to aid the transition into EVs?
So the government of India has run several schemes. These are called FAME schemes, and so there was a lot of subsidies and etc. initially. But now that the market has taken off,
Hmm.
I don't think it is the government which has to do.
Hmm.
The manufacturers, and there are a lot of new manufacturers which are coming in, who are coming out with new age EVs. They are still in, most of them are in R&D phase in India, and these are Indians. And I'm sure we will see a huge different environment soon on the automobile. So
Yeah.
I don't think the government has any lever now left.
And what role do you think artificial intelligence or data analytics is playing in things like car design, manufacturing, or just general customer experience for Honda specifically?
So AI is still a newer field. Uh, y- as far as car design is concerned, the forecasting has to be done. So one must understand that a car that is launched today, the the process started 5 years earlier, and this car has to exist in the market for the next 5 to 6 years. So when the design team does data analytics of customer likings, preferences, and do a forecasting of that, they have to keep a 10-year to 12-year horizon. And AI certainly is helping the current design team in forecasting these trends, future trends, uh, using various tools. But not just designing. I think AI is today there in various fields, including marketing. Manufacturing, I do not have much experience, so I will not comment.
Mm.
But in marketing, definitely AI is playing a big role. Big data, of course, was always there. We did not have the right tools to analyze, and so we depended on excels and large manpower who would do the data crunching for you. And today you have tools, and you can write a few lines of software to do this analytics for you. Today there are a lot of companies also who are doing this analytics for you. So this is making your decision much faster and better informed decisions. So these are playing larger and larger roles as we go along, and to make correct decisions, this will become the dominant tools to be used.
Yeah, nice. And so, could you tell me a little bit about your educational background and your journey to becoming the general manager of Honda Motors?
So I have done BTech in mechanical, after which I did my MBA. And like I mentioned, I'm passionate about vehicles.
Mm.
So my entire journey has been in automobiles, in vehicles,
Mm.
various kinds of sizes. So I've dealt with railway wagons, I've dealt with trucks, I've dealt with farm tractors, I've dealt with bikes, two wheelers, and of course my last assignment was in Honda as head of sales and marketing for Honda cars. So, uh, and throughout the journey, I have gone up the ranks, learning at each and every stage. And I mean, it's been all hard work and a lot of initiatives and ownership that led me to eventually becoming the head of sales and marketing.
Yeah. Wow. What a journey. And what, for someone coming into the industry, what skills or even mindset should these young professionals develop if they want to break break into and be successful in the automotive industry?
So, definitely, engineering background
Mm.
helps, but it is not essential. We have, for example, in Honda, a lot of people who came from an MBA background also. And especially when it comes to marketing. Uh, so while we might be selling a product which is purely mechanical in nature, But then selling is not about repairing that vehicle or ability to repair that vehicle. It's about understanding what the customer derives out of that vehicle. So engineering makes you very structured in your thought process, so it helps. But per se, even if you don't have an engineering background, you have a commerce background, you have a arts background, you can be a good salesperson, you can be good in marketing. Automobile has so many functions purely within sales and marketing itself. So it is not just marketing or sales. There are at least 20 other departments which are there in a corporate
Mm,
automobile company. So all kinds of backgrounds can fit in, but definitely a engineering background
mm.
will help you.
Yeah, will help. But as you said, so there's plenty of opportunities for non-engineers
Yes,
to, or people with diverse educational backgrounds to come in and be successful in companies like Honda.
absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. Um, and I wanted to ask, um, what's one mistake that you think you made early in your career that eventually ended up helping you and shaping you as a leader?
There have been millions of them, and each of them have helped me in shaping myself. And I was earlier mentioning about, not delegating initially in my journey as a leader is one big mistake which helped me.
Mm,
There have been not just mistakes, there have been blunders. But then your reporting managers have been so supporting
mm,
that they helped you, guided you, and help you overcome those mistakes. But unless you make mistakes, there is no learning, and unless there is no learning, there is no growth. So I don't think one needs to focus too much on the mistakes. Just learn from them and move on.
yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And what about motivation? How do you keep how do you keep yourself motivated to, progress and be the best version of yourself you can be?
So I think that's an inner drive that one has. So all people who've reached the top, they've had a strong inner drive. They are not dependent on an external person to motivate them.
Mm,
And that's true for me also. Ultimately, as professional, you want to do something which is best for the company, for your team, and for yourself. Of course, the lure of growth, the lure of recognition, all that helps. But at the end of the day, it is you who's answerable to yourself.
mm,
So it's the inner drive that really pushes you to do the best and achieve the best.
mm. Amazing. And I hope the viewers watching today can also be motivated by Nil's journey and his amazing experience and stories that he shared today. And thank you again so much for coming on our podcast. Really appreciate it. And yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.